Have you ever wondered how something as natural, intimate, and instinctive as masturbation might take on new meaning as you grow older? It's not a question many people ask aloud, but it's a question more men are quietly asking themselves once they cross into their 70s. At this stage of life, things begin to shift not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. For many older men, these later years bring a renewed search for intimacy, comfort, and a deeper connection to the body. And masturbation, yes, even now, is still a vital part of that journey. When practiced mindfully, self-pleasure can relieve stress, improve circulation, support better sleep, even benefit prostate health. But here's the part few talk about. Some habits that once felt normal or even healthy can quietly become harmful in the later decades of life. Not because masturbation is wrong, but because your body isn't the same and neither is your nervous system, your hormones, or your emotional needs. Doctors are speaking up not to shame or frighten, but to guide, educate, and protect. Because as your body changes, so must the way you care for it. And that includes how you touch it, how you stimulate it, and how you understand what it's really asking for. Today we'll explore 5 critical masturbation mistakes that many older men unknowingly make, habits that can quietly drain your energy, increase your risk of discomfort, and even affect your memory or emotional balance over time. Let's walk through these insights with wisdom, dignity, and self-respect, not to judge, but to empower. And before we begin, if you're here because you're committed to aging with strength, clarity, and care, consider subscribing to this channel and turning on the bell. We create honest, research-based content just for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Ignoring the body's new limits. As we age, the changes in our bodies are often subtle. They arrive gradually, barely noticeable at first, until one day you realize the old ways no longer feel quite right. By the time you reach your 70s, key systems, like your heart blood vessels, nerves, and even your skin's sensitivity, have shifted. And yet, many older men continue to masturbate the way they did decades ago. Same speed, same pressure, same intensity. But what worked in your 30s may now be placing undue strain on your body. Vigorous, rushed self-stimulation can lead to short-term symptoms like dizziness, rapid heartbeat, muscle cramps, pelvic fatigue, and while these may seem minor over time, they can silently burden your cardiovascular system, especially if you live with high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart conditions. What's often overlooked is the role of your pelvic floor muscles, a group of muscles that work hard during climax. When overused or strained, these muscles can tighten too much, leading to urinary issues, groin discomfort, and even episodes of incontinence. Doctors now urge older men to approach self-pleasure with more self-awareness and care. This isn't about performance, it's about connection, relaxation, and well-being. Here's what helps. Use a gentler, slower rhythm. Focus on sensation, not speed. Take breaks. Breathe deeply and stay aware of your posture. Create a calm, private environment to explore at your pace. This stage of life offers you a rare gift, the chance to redefine pleasure, to shift from goal-driven release to mindful touch. Listening to your body instead of rushing it isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And when you stop trying to push your body and instead allow it to guide you, something surprising happens. You often feel more pleasure, not less. So don't force what used to work. Your body is speaking. It's asking for something slower, deeper, and more respectful. And that's not a decline, it's a new kind of mastery. 2. Using pornography that overstimulates the brain. In today's digital world, we're surrounded by high-speed stimulation and online pornography. It's faster, more intense, and more addictive than ever. For younger men, the brain still has the flexibility to bounce back. But for older men, especially over 70, the consequences of overstimulation can be profound. Here's what happens. Every time you watch highly stimulating sexual content, your brain releases dopamine, the pleasure chemical. But when this stimulation happens too often or too intensely, the brain starts to adjust. It begins to expect more and more input for the same reward. and over time you may start to feel less satisfied, less connected to real-world intimacy, more dependent on extreme content to feel anything at all. This is known as dopamine desensitization, a condition where natural, meaningful experiences no longer produce the same joy. You might find that physical intimacy feels dull, emotional closeness seems distant, your memory or focus begins to fade. You're more irritable, anxious, or even lonely despite frequent stimulation. It's not that pornography itself is inherently bad, it's that your brain at this stage in life is more sensitive to how you stimulate it. One man in his late 70s shared that after watching adult videos daily for months, he felt numb during real intimacy. It wasn't erectile dysfunction, it was emotional and neurological fatigue. Doctors and therapists now recommend exploring gentler alternatives, such as erotic literature, audio-based storytelling, guided mindfulness, or breathwork, combined with touch. These slower, more imaginative forms of arousal nourish the mind instead of flooding it, and more importantly, they leave room for real life to feel joyful again. Because no digital scene can replace the warmth of genuine touch, the richness of emotional connection, or the quiet intimacy of knowing yourself deeply. 3. Not considering prostate health, the overlooked risk that builds silently. As men enter their 70s and beyond, one part of the body demands more attention than ever: the prostate. It's small, easy to forget, but its impact on your comfort, energy, sleep, and even sexual satisfaction is enormous. In youth, we rarely think about this gland, but as we age, the prostate begins to change, and not in ways that can be ignored. One of the most common conditions is benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. It's a non-cancerous enlargement of the prostate that occurs naturally with age. This growth places pressure on the bladder and urethra, leading to slower or weaker urine flow, more frequent urges, especially at night, trouble starting or finishing urination, interrupted sleep, and reduced quality of life. Here's where the problem deepens. Many older men continue their sexual routines, including masturbation, without adjusting for these changes. The pressure, the angle, the intensity, the timing, and what feels like a harmless habit can become a source of prolonged irritation in an already sensitive area. Habits like using excessive pressure or friction, delaying ejaculation or forcing it out, rushing through without allowing full arousal, repeating the act too often without adequate recovery. All of these can place undue stress on the prostate and pelvic floor muscles. This can lead to chronic pelvic discomfort, inflammation, groin tension, longer recovery after climax, and in some cases, delayed detection of more serious prostate issues. Some older men also buy into the myth that holding back ejaculation builds stamina. In truth, it may build pressure, but not the healthy kind. Instead, it can tighten already overworked pelvic muscles and even strain surrounding nerves. If you're already managing prostatitis, urinary tract infections, or just feeling off in your lower body, this becomes even more critical. So what can you do? Approach masturbation as a form of care, not performance. Focus on comfort, not conquest. Allow full arousal and full release without rushing. Pay attention to your posture, your breath, and how your pelvic region feels before and after. Use gentle touch or varied rhythms instead of force. And here's the most important thing. If you ever notice persistent discomfort, a burning sensation, changes in semen color or consistency, or shifts in your urination habits, don't ignore them. They may not feel urgent now, but they can signal silent issues building over time. Your body isn't what it was at 30, but it's still capable, resilient, and deeply responsive when you listen to it. Protecting your prostate doesn't mean avoiding pleasure. It means redefining it with awareness, intention, and care. 4. Masturbating out of loneliness or stress. When touch becomes a substitute for connection. Let's talk about something deeper than the physical. In our later years, emotional health becomes just as vital, if not more than physical well-being. And yet, many older men, especially those living alone or grieving a partner, find themselves turning to masturbation not just for pleasure, but to fill the silence. The long nights, the quiet mornings, the ache of being touched less, the desire to feel something, anything alive in the body. There's absolutely nothing wrong with finding comfort in your own touch, but there's a line between healthy intimacy and emotional avoidance. When masturbation becomes a coping mechanism for grief, boredom, anxiety, loneliness, or even old emotional wounds, it can slowly shift from something nourishing to something numbing. At first, it feels like a release, but over time, that release feels emptier, mechanical, habitual, no longer meaningful, just routine. Some men report feeling more isolated afterward, not less. Why? Because the act, instead of connecting them to themselves, becomes a reminder of who's not there, what's missing, or what hasn't been processed emotionally. And the danger isn't just in the moment. This habit can slowly deepen feelings of disconnection and rob you of the motivation to pursue new friendships, gentle romance, social gatherings, emotional growth. It can quietly become a barrier to healing, a quiet wall between the self and the world. The problem isn't the act of masturbation, it's the motive behind it. Are you doing it because you feel alive, or because you feel alone? Are you celebrating your body, or trying to escape your emotions? That's the key question. The good news is that awareness is the first step back to connection. Here are a few ways to reframe the experience. Before self-pleasure, take a moment to check in. What am I feeling right now? If you notice sadness or stress, try writing it down or talking with someone before acting. Make the experience intentional, set the mood, use gentle touch and focus on your breath. Afterwards, ask, do I feel more at peace or more alone? Your answer will guide you. And most importantly, know that your emotional needs matter. You were never meant to carry them silently. Not in your 20s, not in your 70s, not ever. You deserve more than temporary relief. You deserve emotional connection, even if that begins with yourself. 5. Ignoring erectile dysfunction or performance anxiety. When pressure replaces pleasure. Let's talk about one of the most sensitive but common shifts that occur as men grow older, changes in sexual function. By the time most men reach their 70s, it's entirely normal to notice that. Erections take longer to arrive. They may not be as firm as they once were, or they don't last as long. This is not failure. This is not a flaw. This is biology doing what it naturally does with time. Yet for far too many men, these changes are seen as losses, threats to their identity. Instead of accepting these shifts with understanding, they begin using masturbation not for comfort or joy, but as a kind of test. Can I still get hard? Why is this taking so long? What's wrong with me? The problem with this mindset is that it slowly transforms a healthy healing act into something stressful, even painful. The body, when placed under pressure, stops responding naturally. Worry creeps in. Frustration builds. The brain, sensing fear or failure, floods with cortisol, the stress hormone. And cortisol and arousal, they don't mix. The more pressure you put on yourself to perform, the harder it becomes to actually feel pleasure. This is what doctors call the performance anxiety loop, and once it begins, it can quietly rob you of both confidence and connection. Worse yet, many men suffer in silence. They're too ashamed to talk about it even with their doctors, too embarrassed to acknowledge it even to themselves. But here's the truth. You are not broken. You are aging, and aging is not a defect. It's a process. There is no shame in changing, no failure in feeling different than you used to, and no strength in pretending that nothing's changed when it has. What matters now is how you respond. So instead of seeing masturbation as a test of your performance, reframe it. Let it become an act of self-care, not self-judgment. And it's not about how long it takes. It's not about how hard you get. It's about how you feel during and after. It's about finding peace, not pressure. Comfort, not comparison. When you make that shift, something powerful happens. Your body starts to relax. Your mind becomes more present. And you may even find that arousal improves naturally because the stress is finally gone. And if erectile issues persist despite emotional awareness, that's okay too. There are real effective treatments and supports available if you ask for them. Reaching out for help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the act of a man who values his well-being enough to ask for what he needs, because performance doesn't define a man. Presence does. Connection, comfort, honesty with yourself. That's what matters most, especially now. Your body may have changed, but your ability to experience joy, intimacy, and inner peace that is still fully, vibrantly alive. Sexual wisdom. After 70, a new kind of power. There comes a point in life where pleasure begins to shift, where it deepens. In your 70s and beyond, intimacy becomes less about urgency and more about meaning, less about performance and more about presence. This is your time, not to impress, not to compete, but to honor the body that has carried you all these years, to listen to its wisdom, to explore what feels right now, to make room for comfort, tenderness, and peace instead of tension or expectation. When guided by self-awareness and dignity, masturbation can still be a nourishing part of life. Not rushed, not judged, not hidden in shame, just honest, real, yours. Growing older doesn't mean giving up your sensuality. It means redefining it with grace. So here's my message to you. You are not fragile. You are not finished. You are not alone. You are still learning, still evolving, still capable of feeling deeply and loving fully. And your relationship with your body, however it looks today, is still a relationship worth nurturing. Let's reflect and reclaim this together. Now I'd love to hear from you. Take a quiet moment to reflect. Which of these 5 insights stood out to you most? Is there a habit you're ready to release or a new one you're willing to try? Drop a comment below and share just one thing you're taking with you from this video. Let's support each other. Let's normalize these conversations. Let's walk this next chapter together with honesty, self-respect, and the freedom to live fully on our own terms. If you found this video valuable, please leave a comment with 1 if something resonated, or 0 if it didn't. That feedback helps me make better content for you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone you care about who might need these words. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing growth even in the most private parts of your life. And thank you for walking this journey with courage. Until next time, live fully, touch gently, and always listen to what your body is telling you.